Hey BitTube, hey YouTube, and whatever other tubes there are. Tube's actually a, what do you call it? One of those words, like when you call someone an asshole? A derogatory word in Scotland, but anyway, YouTube. So, this, actually my brother mentioned that the other day, so shout out to Paul. Wow. This is my home. Has been for a short while. I've been traveling around a lot of my life, right? Never been as happy, and I had this idea years ago and I didn't do it. And when I was younger, I came into money a few times and could have done it easily without even having to do any work myself or having my friends do any work. But what I'm trying to explain to people how is not just the freedom you get from living in a kind of off-grid scenario. So right now, I'm on grid. So you can selectively choose when you do things, right? It's a more efficient way to live. I'm not saying I need to be completely off-grid. I'm just saying I can if I need to, because, let me show you here. Got this bus for about $1,000. Yep, cheap as chips. Me and my friend Amit did. Got that battery pack there, that's actually like one of those Tesla kind of systems you sell power back to the grid. Our other friend Steve rejigged it, so it's now like a UPS. So all the air conditioning system there and everything runs off it, and that big grunty water pump. It's got a spare water pump inside there and another one for the flusher. It's got breakers, it's got all the safety you'd expect in a house or a tiny home, right? And all we had to really do was my mate, our mate, fixed this. He's going to get another either van or bus, he's not sure yet. Same idea. I woke up to the fact that you don't need to be hinged to property, even though we do own real estate. I will put that in there. But well, it's just, you know, leftover remnants of an old life, and it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, because there's a lot of people who watch this who are, let's not watch this, watch these kind of videos, who are, you know, they'll say that this is like hippies and libtards and this sort of stuff. No, it's not. It's libertarians, it's all sorts, right? It's people who learn not to be slaves of the system. Anyway, $1,000, put on LED lights so I can't get flat batteries. Two big fuck off truck batteries in here as well, so, you know, there's plenty of power. As you can see, 6 batteries at the back as well. So, I want to go off grid. It's not that difficult, and the engine itself is a 4-litre turbo diesel, and I shit you not, it takes less fuel to get around. I don't know how this happens. It takes less fuel to get around, or around about the same, as my old Toyota 3-litre turbo diesel, which is a Hilux Surf, right? So, a hell of a reliable, it's over 1 million mile motor, that'll do, and it's on about 130,000 at the moment. And the compartments at the side I don't really use, but I could. I've got enough storage inside. I'll just show you in here. So not only does the engine charge the battery, I've got a generator as well. It's out in that shed there. It's a part of my brother's place. You can see in here, I just put my clothes up there, but I could have someone sleep in there if you want to. USB, LED light, all the pods have that. And here I've got the skylight covered because it stops the sun coming in and fading the curtains. I'll sleep there or here. There's space in there as well for more storage. I'll actually show you. First, I'll show you around here. Basically, my stuff is inside the house now. I don't need to carry it all with me, but I can hit the road with everything I own. That's how I wanted it, right? Anyway, microwave behind me here. Storage space for some food. Sink. That's fed by that high pressure hose. Shower. Toilet. Oh wow, you have to empty the toilet. You know what? whenever I can find it, use a shower or jump in a lake, whatever it is. You don't actually have to use the shower every day, and if you don't do that, it'll probably last longer. But not just that, you're living more, what's the word, efficiently. So in winter time, we've got a heater there. It's really efficient, and it also is a cooler air conditioning system as well, so it's cool. Got a 46-inch TV there. It's got a good sound system. Thanks again to my friend Hamid. Crank it. Got a subby under here. Fridge, washing machine and dryer, oven, but I've also got gas stuff as well, right? So I've got cameras for there, you know, for recording your driving. It records inside to this direction as well. I've got cameras outside also. You know, security is your own choice. You can do what you want. Some people go ape shit. It's got a tracking system as well, but some people go more ape shit than that. The generator usually sits in the back where I just showed you before, but I've got really no need for it because the engine will probably outlast the generator. It's charging up while you go anyway. So that's it really. Free to travel anywhere that I can get through at a border without being ripped off by people who work for governments. So the storage I told you about, that's all the stuff. So my snowboards, just some dive gear, motorbike helmets, things like that. I've got a little motorbike too, I'll show you that. But of all my vinyls I used to have, that's the ones I wanted to keep. So you don't need to have that much stuff in life, you know. And actually, I've got a lot more than the average person probably needs. Who knows? So, well, oops. It's as simple as that. So you could choose something for, you could be a low budget person and go in for like $1,000 and get a van. Just use something reliable. You're probably better off, let's say if you're struggling financially, right? Because I don't have that same problem. So I can pay for stuff if I need to, but still, I don't live a life where it's all about money, right? So I even work for free sometimes because it's more about what you do in life. And this is why if you do set yourself free from the system, you'll find you do a lot more stuff that makes you happy. It's the wee scooter. I've got a thing that attaches there to tow my dog because he's getting old. There's a generator there. But yeah, even when it's fully loaded, I've still got a lot of space in there. It's just I was cleaning it out the other day, so I thought I'd take out all that luggage and stuff, and I'm not going to be snowboarding for a few months, so what's the point in carrying it around with me? Although, if I go directly to Spain from here, I'll probably load it back in, because I'll probably end up, you know, when I leave there, it'll be close to winter time. Cycle will start again, snowboard, have fun. Or in the summertime, you know, do a bit of diving and stuff. Next thing I want to get into, and so does my mate Amit, is what's it called again? Paramotoring. So it's kind of weird. We discovered it on the net around at the same time. Started looking into it. But yeah, if you take flying and riding around and on motorbikes and not being bolted to a house and be able to change where I am constantly, I'll just move on if I don't like where, you know, who's next to me, or I don't know, the vibe of the area or the look of the area. Just drive on. You don't have to spend your whole time just driving and driving. And unless you live in around about 47 of the 50 states in the US, you can be pretty free to park up just anywhere and not have to worry about paying money. Whereas in places like England versus Scotland, with even less room, you can't really just park up anywhere. You can in some national parks, but yeah, that's about it really. Scotland's a lot more free. New Zealand's quite free. Australia's very free in that respect. Don't make any assumptions on the government though. Well, if you do, I hope you realise that they're really just slave masters. Anyway, That's how you can live free for, to do that job there, it would probably usually cost you about 15k for the bus, and maybe another 15 for the work. But I did it on the cheap because I got the bus for cheap as hell, and my friends helped me do the work that was required to modify it. It already had most of the work done. Well, when I say most of the work, it already had 9 beds in there. We just took 3 of them out, put a bathroom, put the the appliances and things in, and fix up a few things, did all these windows and stuff because they were broken. But again, that's getting friends of friends or friends of friends of friends to help make things cost less. Don't go to your local Merc dealer and say, oh, can you do this? Even if they can help you, they'll charge you an arm and a leg, and you won't get good value for money. But if you've got the money to spend, hey, it'd be better doing that and putting yourself into more enslavement and buying a property. Because the example I'll give all the time to people is my first place I bought in Scotland. It was effectively a box in the sky because I didn't own the land underneath it. A lot of buildings like in London that people buy are leasehold, so you definitely don't own the land. You can't even get a share of the land with your neighbours because none of you own it. And then the other thing is your council rapes. So the government are always raping you, whether it's local government or centralised government. They're taking taxes off you for sales. They're double taxing your wages because they tax you, then you get taxed again for sales tax, and whatever else they want to take out of your pocket. In America, you'll get charged bullshit for bombs and medical support that you'll never see. So Britain, a little bit different. At least you get something back for your money. America gives you really fuck all for your money. At least you do get something back, but all you're really doing is paying for governments to exist. They're the ones who swallow up all the money. They're the ones who are spending the money on their own agendas to buy things that their friends' companies sell. You just need to escape out that shit. I mean, you don't need to. You can carry on living your often miserable life. That's what I see out there. People living very miserable lives. They're commuting hours to get to work, not seeing their kids, or not spending time with their dog, or not spending time on themselves, not getting time to educate themselves on things that actually matter in life, instead of educating yourself on the news and the distractions that come with that, which don't really enrich your life at all. They just bring, I don't know, worry. And the thing that's weird is that they bring things like worry and fear, because that's what they are, they're fear mongers. And yet, despite that, people still choose to bolt themselves to something that the government could steal at any time, and do, all over the world. So New Zealand, for example, I just mentioned the fact I had a box in the sky in Scotland and New Zealand. I've still got some land I'm trying to sell right now. Wasn't able to build anything on it until I jumped through 1,000,001 hoops and done tens of thousands of dollars worth of digging and all that kind of shit, and I still haven't built it, and it's cost me over $250,000, right? What will I get for it? I'll be lucky to get 150k, even though the market's back again as far as houses are concerned, because of the injection of Chinese capital, which has been printed at will, right? Going all over the world, just buying up things, which helps the overall wealth disparity in every country. It's a bit to get into right now, so I'm not going to bother. But the reality is I'm a lot more free living like this, connecting digitally through... That's the thing, see, I don't need TV, because I can get everything on the web. I don't trust TV anyway. I like to find my information. I don't like to be fed it. So I have an internet package here. I renew a UK one. I might get a cheaper one in Bulgaria actually soon. But that, because of the EU legislation, that covers the whole EU. So that's $20 a month for 20 gigs and unlimited. That's gift gaff. I was using EE before as well. It's still fairly cheap. And faster internet than you'll get in a wired broadband pay through the nose service in the USA, because the internet sucks there. And a lot less money you'll pay for a mobile Verizon service in the US as well. When I was in the US, I used Leica Mobile, but don't use them. They're a bunch of scumbags, Indian company. There's a few cheap options in the USA that you can use. They won't give you bullet fast internet, and it won't last that long. Unless you want to pay 100 something bucks a month. If you want to pay about 20 to 30, you can get unlimited plans, but when you run out, it slows down. For most people, it will be enough. A few gigs, or let's say 10 to 15 gigs will be enough. So it depends how you use it. Like, for example, you watch YouTube videos, turn the turn the resolution down, especially if you're listening to something. You don't need to see, you know, crystal clear, you know, you don't need to see the pimple on a guy's chin in a video. You just need to hear what they're saying if it's in the background, and turn up just to the resolution that you need. Not, you know, that's just the simple things I do to save data if I'm in the middle of nowhere. And you don't want to get caught out without internet, and you can't rejuvenate the plan, you know. What else? Yes, that's entertainment sorted out. Music I've already got, like many discs from years ago, and lots of MP3s and things from years and years of listening and DJing and stuff. So that's how I do it. This system in the front's a sat nav. It's got you know, it's got the feed into the audio system, so I use those Bose speakers at the front with other speakers behind it. And it also ties into the amplifier at the back, or they can listen to their own music separately. When you're driving people around, they might not like your stuff, like my mate and his son who've just gone back to New Zealand from Bulgaria. That's where I'm at right now, Bulgaria. Yeah, so like you could, I'd say one step down from, you know, living free as a digital nomad or whatever it is you want to call yourself, a nomad or vagabond, whatever, is buying somewhere like a third world country or a second world country, like a place like Bulgaria. Not enough government control yet, especially given the fact countries like this have moved away from communism. The last thing they want to do is control. You do sometimes have some people though who have that mindset, who loved those days, and they were jobs worth of their era. They were the system slaves of their time, betraying their local people, in the same way we have nowadays. So I just say that overall there's a lot less government interference, and you still get the benefits from your taxes here. They haven't really worked out yet how much they can rip people off, but the EU are quickly teaching them, as my brother pointed out the other day. This is why things are actually already changing here, which is really sad. I think the next places to be, the next Bulgarias, if you like, would probably be Georgia, further east. Good ski places there too, so I'm going to check that out this year. I think Estonia might be okay too, only for the reason that their president is a ex-IT specialist. Guy's actually got a brain, bringing the country forward. So yeah, you can choose that, but it still is a little bit linked in. I share the worry some people have with the overpopulation driven by consumerism and commercialism, and you know, global corporate interests that really want people to be, I don't know, maybe trapped a little bit, or somewhat trapped, feeling that they're free. That's it really. Just wanted to take you a look around, see what it's like. And this is how I'm going to be going all around Europe and probably Asia and Africa as well. The only hindrance, and it is a major hindrance, is dealing with governments on the way through. Either the corrupt officials in third world countries or first world countries, as we learned in Austria the other day, where we got the choice of a $720 or a $1,300 or a $3,000 fine for driving not without a vignette, no, with the wrong one. The dipshits, after me showing them a photograph and having my bus parked right in front, gave me the wrong vignette. You could of course be understanding, no you can't, it's a corporation. Just like G4S, who run all the prisons in America, some other bullshit company in Germany was running all those vignette toll booth places. Just, you know, they're seeing the foreigners coming, and the thing is, we did the research and still got the wrong thing. A lot of people just drive there and don't know it. When you do get pulled up, they rape you hard, right? It was better when Germany and all those countries had the just the toll booths you pay. It was actually a lot easier. Make sure you don't have to get told, here we've got a gotcha here because you didn't do it before, now you've done it after, now we can just rape you in the ass and charge you 10 times to 100 times what it might cost you. That's just bullshit, but that is what governments are doing, along with making things more efficient and requiring less people like you to work for them. And the only jobs that they do have, they will eventually be for, you know, people who were brought into the country or came in illegally. Who cares? I don't care about illegal immigration, just to get that one clear here. I care about it so much as it's been used for a divisive vehicle by the left and the right. I care about it because the fact that people feel they actually have to migrate en masse, because it's not for everyone doing this, right? I know that most people need to have their security blanket, they need to have their little dummy tit to suck on, and that is their 90% mortgaged house, you know, linked to an interest rate that, you know, if it just fluctuates a little bit more upwards, then they've lost everything. You know, somehow that gives them security. You go ahead, you live like that if you're that kind of system slave. But me, even owning property, I would say, if you're that kind of person, you want to break free, just rent it all out. In most cases, you get more return than you will, you know, in the long term, if you can afford to hold on to it with someone paying your mortgage. As long as you don't need to sell out, or as long as you haven't stacked your portfolio like a stack of dominoes, so that one collapses, everything collapses. As long as you structure things right, just rent it out, keep it. And then if you get any problem in any one area from any government, sell that bitch of a house. Like if you get what I've got in New Zealand, where they're raping me for rates all the time and giving me nothing, it's literally zero back for it. And all they do is hinder my progress as far as when I try to do anything. So, you know, that's not freedom. You don't own that. You don't own that land. They said a few years ago, if I continued my protest of not paying my rates, so I could get them into a courtroom, you see. No, they were going to repossess my land first. And that's a land that's completely paid for, doesn't have a mortgage. So you need to be aware of that. You're never really free when you buy anywhere in the world, potentially, because, you know, whether it's a third world place, some bandits can just come take it off you, or shoot you for it. At least in those places you can also usually carry a gun yourself and protect yourself, which I'd prefer. Or you have the, you know, the government gang that come along and, you know, embezzle and whatever, extort you for money and take everything off you because you didn't say Simon Says before you did whatever you did. Just some ridiculous rule they'll have in place, that the ever-increasing rules they always have to eventually make everyone criminals, especially those with nothing to their name. So beware. If anything, you just get a bit of a life, because you might think living, you know, going your routine that you've got of going to the gym, going to the bar, hanging out with people that really don't give a fuck a lot of the times because they're living shit lives, or they're struggling, or they just want something off you in the end. That's the common one as well. I find that in America really bad. For people, unfortunately, I don't mean personality wise, and for, you know, for company reasons, you know, for companionship. I'm talking about just the way people are wired there. It's quite common for most people in every wage bracket that I know to live beyond their means. I don't know what it is out there. It must be the consumers, and it's been pumped into them from a young age. They really do, I don't know, they get sucked in by the very simple advertising, which would actually make most people in the West and in Asia cringe, but they get sucked in by it. Actually, not all of Asia, not Japan. They've got crazy advertising there. I'll just sit in there. Always have something, a thing at the top of the screen with a guy and a woman pointing and watching. It's weird stuff. Anyway, let's sidetracking there. Yeah, the thing people don't realize is that if you're in a job that can be done remotely, especially, you can actually keep your current income and still travel. But let's say you're a freelancer. You can usually, in most professions, you can find an angle that allows you to travel, and you can actually live on about 1/10 the money you were before. That's including fuel. As long as you don't want so much stuff in life. A lot of people have houses so they can accumulate shit they don't need, and buy stuff to feel better about the miserable life they're having, being chained to a property in a city they can't stand, fighting through traffic with people in cars they can't stand, and who are just as miserable as they are. Just living as a nomad, whether it be in a van or whether you're on a bicycle. So a friend of mine, Sebastian, very good friend of mine, who was actually with me on here, when you can see on the BitCoin RoadShow or Red Pill Diary back in a month ago. Anyway, he was with me in Austria snowboarding, and when I first told him about crypto, I think it was 2013 or 14, I was explaining to him how you can be free, because I'd actually already spent a year living in my car, but not like most people do, actually traveling all around Europe living in my car. I loved it. I thought, well, I might have a contract at the moment, may as well look around. And Anyway, a while later he started crypto trading, but he also built himself a bicycle, built his own one, and rode all the way out to Slovakia, went snowboarding. That's what can be done. See, just that's what my point is. If you want to unenslave yourself from the system, or become a digital nomad, so you're still kind of part of it, making money from it, trading in it, in the old economy and the new economy, whether it be crypto, you can still be kind of on grid with your, well, you can have the on grid, what's the word, luxuries like internet, you can have power, you can have water, and overall, I can guarantee you, having lived both lives, actually a few different types of lives in different countries, I can tell you that this is much more rewarding, and you'll be much happier being able to change your outlook. Maybe it isn't for some people, but I think the people who it's not for, it's not the fact that it's not for those people, it's the fact that it's not for their mind state, their current mind state. And that usually is, again, back to fear. Fear of what will happen if I don't have my security blanket and my dummy, which the system has told me is jumping on the property ladder before it's too late. So everyone's in a rush, making emotional trades, trading their money for real estate at a high often, because of the hype, you know, being caught up on all this hype economy, and it's a rat race again. It's because what it really is, it's just swings and roundabouts. It's being convinced to go into a market where you're overspending and getting less value, so that overall you're losing out. So whatever it is, where you're changing cash for gold or for property or for water, whatever it is you have, commodity or whatever, most people, because they're following the news, they're making bad trades. They're getting rid of their gold at the wrong time, or they're getting rid of their property at the wrong time after having bought in at the wrong time. You know, just try get better at that and get 50% better at that, and you'll already have a lot less waste in your life. Therefore, don't need to earn as much money as you think you need to earn. In the States, another thing that's quite common I noticed was when people had paid off their car, they would instantly go out and get a better car. So in other words, they take in their car, they spend, let's say, 10 grand on. This person's going to give them finance for 5 grand. So right away they throw away 5 grand of what they've just spent a year or 5 years splunking away money for. And then they're back in debt again. And for what? A car that's slightly better or sometimes worse than what they had before. It's just pointless. The same thing happens with houses over there. Oh, I got a better job. Yeah, so I'm going to move into the big flashy house down the road. Dumbass maneuver. Just pay off what you have. Or even if you're going to go into that mode and you want to live high risk, you may as well go full high risk, like me and my brother Scott did, and you leverage all the way so that you can actually consolidate everything again and bring it back to solid ownership as soon as possible. That's a high risk, but you should only, if you're spreading high risk along a long time, then you know that's just stupid. The chance of if you're standing one-legged on a spike and you try to balance there, you know you're going to bet $100 for a minute to stand there without falling off. If you bet the same $100 for, I don't know, a month, well, it's pretty obvious you're not going to get your $100. You know, you're taking too high a risk. That's it, really. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm trying to think what else I could say about this. You can live in the countryside, or you can go around, visit friends all around the place, see touristy places. I dragged this through some tiny places in Berlin and all sorts of places, right? And in the UK, up in the Cornwall coast, see some of those videos. Roads are tiny, so don't be put off by buying something that's going to fit everything you need just by thinking, oh, the roads won't be big enough. You'll get around. It'd be better if you actually get one of those sat navs that are actually meant for HGVs, because then you might avoid some of the shit that I've been through, being a cheapskate and not buying one of those. What else? You know, if you're someone who's thought about going to Japan, it's a very free country for this kind of stuff. You don't need to get one with showers or anything. You can save a lot of space if you like. Every island Hokkaido, wherever, you're gonna get public baths everywhere, as well as public ski fields. They actually had a lot of towns. Yeah, great place to go, especially in winter time for me, for being a boarder. And yeah, you can, a lot of places to park up, a lot of beautiful scenery, and you're never gonna find yourself like you would in the UK or even Germany, struggling to find a bathroom with showers and everything in it. You know, in Germany you can often find pools in bigger cities, as you can in Britain, but in Britain it comes with barukas, unfortunately. So, well, England, that's what you tend, the land of the baruka. That's about it, really. Yep, that's it. This is Bulgaria. It's simple. It's a lot more free than the rest of the EU.